This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's popping? It ain't the Knicks anymore. Not tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been eliminated by the Indiana Pacers in 6 games. We're on the way home. We're going fishing, Cancun, wherever you're going. The Knicks are on their way there, ladies and gentlemen. Tony, rough night. By halftime, I was like, okay, we're in a decent position. And then, boom. You know what I'm saying? Boom. It went by the wayside. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna spotlight you real quick. Okay, you can go ahead and just give some quick thoughts, and I'll be back in like 10 seconds.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. Oh man, I'm conflicted because I don't know whether to celebrate the season or feel bad about the elimination that the season's over. It was a great season. I think overall we exceeded expectations. You know what I mean? Like we knocked out Boston. I think we overlooked Indiana and their experience and their growth as a team. So to me, that's one of the biggest spotlights. You know what I mean? Like this was year one for us. Year one, and there's a lot of growing to do. And in a sense, we could look at Indiana as a inspiration in the fact of seeing how they grew from last year to this year. You know what I mean? And honestly, talent wise, I think we have more talent. We have a collection of more talent. So if they grew to that extent, oh, maybe we'll go to that extent. My bad. I'm laughing because my brain automatically thought to the coach. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure that's gonna be a conversation.
I mean, that's going to be a conversation all summer.
You made it, Sam. The coach is gonna have a lot to do with how much we've grown. But in Tibbs' defense,
Oh, you
we
said
have grown every year. Every year we're here. Every year he's been here.
You said
Whatever
unmuted?
the rest of us. Can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Hold on for 1 second. Check.
Nope.
They said they can hear me.
Oh, the chat can hear you though.
Yeah, the chat can hear. The chat
The
can hear.
cooler said he hears you.
Yeah, but you can't hear me. I can hear you.
You want me to get out and come back in?
Yeah, maybe try doing that.
I'll do that.
Yeah, maybe try doing that. Definitely, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a conversation all summer long about Tibbs. We know that. Should Tibbs be fired? Tony and I were discussing whether or not Tibbs, how Tibbs will grow during the offseason. That discussion is going to go on all season long. I mean, the entire offseason. I do believe what this series boiled down to was game 1. You know what I mean? Boiled down to game 1 when we had the game in the bag, and then we allowed them to come back and win. After that, it was they win, we win. They win, we win. They win, we win. If we win game 1, this is a 7-game series. you know, uh, like Tony said, you know, when you lose a game like you lost in game one, then you got to have the mental toughness to come back and win game two, or have the mental toughness to win two in a row. And we just didn't have that. The team didn't have it. I got to take my hats off to the Indiana Pacers. Um, they're a well-oiled machine. They're well coached. Um, they have a lot of talented players. They have a lot of pieces on their team. They definitely go deep with guys who can score the basketball. It seems like everybody that comes in can score. Can hit a three. I mean, these guys all across the board. Thomas Bryant knocked down 2 threes tonight. You know what I'm saying? It's like all across the board, these guys have players who can knock down threes. Um, so I got to take my hat off to them. But for all intents and purposes, though, we're even with them. They made it to the finals, right? We're even with them. It came down to us giving away a game and not recovering from that. And when I say giving away a game, everyone knows, you too, Jordan Smith, everyone knows we gave away the game and not recovering from that. You know what I mean? If it weren't for that, this is a flip-flop back and forth series. Every game except for the last two came down to double digits, came down to crunch time. Tonight they were better than us. Bottom line, they were just better than us. You know what I mean? So we got to figure out how to get better during the off season. You know what I'm saying? We got to add pieces to the bench. I don't think it's the time, me personally, I don't think it's the time to go crazy and change our core. Right? I don't think you do that. You definitely don't do that. If you want to tell Tibbs to add, someone who has, uh, um, and more offensive acumen to the coaching staff, maybe you want to do that. But I don't think it's time to disrupt the core. You know what I'm saying? The core. We got a core 6, 7 guys. I think you got to build on that and add to that. And give the team a chance to marinate a little bit. You know what I mean? This team hasn't had that chance to marinate. They're not. For all intents and purposes, the Pacers got there last year. They got there this year. They got eliminated last year. Now they made it to the finals. You know what I'm saying? They took some lumps, and now they made it. We took some lumps. Now we got to figure out how we get there.
Same can be said about OKC.
Same can be said about OKC. We got to figure out how we get there. You know what I'm saying? What do we got to add to the team to get there? What do we got to add to the coaching staff to get there? What kind of adjustments do we need to make on how we use our players? You know what I'm saying? I still think, what kind of adjustments do we make defensively? I'm going to send Tibbs I might write Tibbs a letter every day and ask him to use a zone. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe I do have everybody sign a letter and send it to Tibbs and say, please use some zone.
Try it.
You know what I mean? But we were good enough to win this series. I really do believe that. If we figure out how to get over that collapse in game one, if we win game two, like you said, if we win game one, we're in a 7 series. If we come back and respond and win game two, we're in a 7-game series. You know what I'm saying? We're good. We were good enough to win this series.
Sim, I wanted to.
I could see us. My bad. I could see us coming back with the same teams next year and winning this series. You know what I'm saying? I think we were good enough to win the series, but it didn't go our way this year.
I want to correct myself. I know offline I was saying I thought it was more about game two, considering how well we responded to losses throughout the year, throughout the playoffs, whatever the case may be, under Tibbs. But I will say this: after game one, the first thing I said on the post game was I was a humbled fan
Mm-hmm.
because like I was speechless in the outcome of that game. Whether you want to say we gave it away, or you know what I mean, or give them the credit for making shots down the stretch. You know what I mean? Whether you want to blame coach, whatever you want to blame for it, you know what I mean. Like it was humbling, and it felt like as humbled as I was as a fan, it felt like they was as a team as players. You know what I mean? And yeah, they just couldn't recover from it.
Couldn't
It,
recover.
it,
Yeah,
it's
couldn't recover.
2 days, 2 games to kind of get their bearings and come to peace. what happened in game one?
Right. You know, Double D said, honestly speaking, the way the Knicks played during these playoffs, I'm surprised they made it this far. They actually played horribly throughout these playoffs. No cap. Um, how do you feel about that comment? Because that might
I
tell
think
some people. That might tell some people. Because if you think about it, the Knicks had to come back from 20 down versus
3 times.
Boston 3 times. They had to. They had against Indiana. They
Two,
had, they had to come back. To win the first game that they won. They had to come back. They blew a 17-point lead. Obviously the games that they lost, they lost. People might look at it and say, well, you're not going to duplicate that next year. You're not going to be down by 20 in all these games and come back and win.
I mean, not for nothing. That was one of my things this year as it was going on. Like you're not going to continue to come back from 20 down. You're not going to continue to come back from 17 down. So I do think that is a true statement. How you can look at that as a negative or a positive. You're not going to duplicate it, but you wouldn't expect you would expect us to get better at it, right? And know how to get leads, play with leads, keep leads.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like the turnaround is the turnaround. If you down 20 and you win by 5, that's a 25-point swing. So now however you look at it from that point on, you know what I mean? Like you won by 25.
Hmm.
So we're capable of having a 25-point lead, and when we lose it, we're capable of losing that type of lead. It's about the balance of it. But I agree with that statement. We didn't play well. I was saying that I was looking at that as a positive all playoffs long. All right, look, we win games and Brunson ain't even like he ain't even going off yet. We win games and we haven't even figured out a collective effort yet. So we had 2 games where it was like a collective effort. The closeout game in Boston and
Last
the
game.
first game we won. Oh yeah, the last game we won. Previous to this game.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, LD said, we don't have a bench. He said Randall/Obi exit out. Siakam/Obi check mark. Um, I think that's a really, really bad comparison because obviously for both teams, other players on the team.
Other variables.
Way more variables than just Randall and Obi and Siakam and Obi. I think
I
that's
mean,
I think that's
you could argue Obi would be just as good or better if he was here after Randall was gone.
right. Right. If he was here right now, he'd be coming off the bench or maybe he would be starting with Cat. That would be a terrible defensive lineup. But so I don't think that's a good comparison at all. You know what I mean? Jack City said run it back. Boston ran it back for like a decade. Definitely run it back. You definitely run it back,
Mhm.
and you keep trying to add around the fringes, right? You bring back. Obviously, you're bringing back Brunson. There's no way you're not. You're bringing back Cat. You bring back Josh Hart. I think you don't start Josh Hart. I think you got to find someone. I think you got to find a facilitator to start in that role. I will. And I know there could be some. There's going to people that is going to say he can't shoot this and that, but I'm not afraid to add Ben Simmons to that role. I think when I look at tonight, and I know people will get mad at me when I look at tonight, right? And the Knicks tried to play with Brunson off the ball a lot tonight, right? Josh Hart had trouble handling the pressure. Mikal Bridges had trouble handling the pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't have anybody that can really handle the pressure when you're trying to have. I mean, they're bringing the ball up. Cool. They're bringing the ball up. They're battling pressure to bring the ball up. But they're not able to see the floor. They're not really initiating the offense. They're just holding the ball until you can get Brunson free. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's not that's not going to work in the long run. I think you need to have another facilitator out there on the floor. You know what I'm saying? And this, in all intents, for people who, it's going to be a lot of people that get mad at me. But Randall was another facilitator that could help handle the ball. He was another creator out there on the floor, right? Where you could have Brunson play off the ball. You know what I'm saying? Because Randall could help create. He could facilitate. He could create his own shot. He could get to the basket, when he decided to. You know what I mean? We need to add another facilitator out there. Now, Ben Simmons may not be a scorer, but he is a facilitator. He is a guy that can get the other pieces involved. He can get the Bridges and the OGs and those guys involved.
And he's a defender. I think the premise of your of what you're saying is correct. I think it's just too. I think it's too soon to have this conversation. You know what I mean? This conversation
now. We eliminated it now.
I mean,
eliminated. We gone.
I thought about it too, and you know what I mean. Like I agree. The prototype of what he brings is we could use, and we could overcome the shooting because we've been doing that. So it's like Josh Hart on steroids, like in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Better defender, better facilitator, better ball handler. You know what I mean? Push the floor, better facilitator. All that I agree. I don't know if Ben is built for here. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if he's motivated to for here. Just off of like he ain't show it. His best stint has been in the Clippers this past year, and that was at a minimal role.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're gonna use him off the bench in a minimal role, that would be ideal. If we trying to start him in here in New York with expectation,
I mean,
like not New York City.
Yeah, I mean
New York Knicks.
But see, I think that we have enough people to take the bullets for him. Brunson's gonna take bullets. Cat's gonna take bullets. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have the same kind of contract. He doesn't have that big contract. So I think the expectations are different from him. And so you're not looking at him to be your primary plug. You're looking at him for a specific role.
Listen, he has to be motivated. You know what I mean? I think ideally, if he's filling in for Josh Hart, that's Josh Hart on steroids, right? Like everything Josh Hart does, he does better. He's more elite at. Great fit. If he's motivated.
That's true.
And being a starter and being on the Knicks and having expectation is different than anything he's faced in Philly, in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Like that.
I don't know about in Philly. In Philly, he was one of the top 2 players on the team.
Yeah, it was a rise and a fall. It's different from coming here and being a starter. That's all I'm saying. And being,
I think so to me, I think for him, fit is everything. right? Knowing your role and fit is everything. And I feel like Tom Thibodeau is the type of guy that works for Ben Simmons, right? Because with Tom Thibodeau, you know your role, you know what minutes you're gonna get, you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing out there on the floor, and while you're there, you know what I'm saying. And you know he's gonna. I think it could work with him. If now, but if you're not talking, if you're not
I
talking
don't
about Ben
doubt it.
Simmons, if you're not talking about Ben Simmons, then we just a facilitator though.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? A guy that can facilitate. Yes, so yes, I am talking about Ben Simmons right now because here's what some people here's what we have to understand about some things, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have a lot of money to be adding people, so we got to be able to add people that can fit into some things that we really need to get done. You know what I'm saying? So you know, if I'm saying a facilitator and people saying, "Well, go get this guy and that guy," and we can't afford it, then you know sometimes you got to figure out, okay, what can actually work. I just think Ben Simmons is a Tom defensively can be a Tom Thibodeau type of guy, 6'10", you know, so he can play some in the box a little bit. He can handle the basketball. He can get Brunson off the ball. He can pass. He can get other people involved. Um, I really think it can work. You know what I'm saying? I really think it could work. But if we're not, but you know, but there's other people that could probably fit that role as well. You know what I'm saying? But I'm looking at a guy who can facilitate from that spot. So now you have Brunson, then you have Mikal Bridges, and then you have another guy out there that can facilitate for everybody else because Brunson's not a facilitating point guard. You know what I'm saying? He's a scoring point guard. So we need someone out there that can facilitate. You know what I mean? It was like it's like think about the Warriors. Steph Curry's not a facilitating point guard. But Draymond Green, for a lot of their championship years, was the facilitator out there on the floor. You know what I'm saying? Was able to get everybody involved. I think we need that guy out there. Josh Hart ain't that guy. Bridges ain't that guy. Cat's not that guy. OG's not that guy.
You don't think Hart could continue? I mean, I know he got demoted at the end of the year, but in the playoffs, but you don't think he definitely grew. Like he's had his best year this year. You know what I mean? He's had his best years as a Knick. You don't think he could grow into that?
I don't think he has strong enough handle to do that. I don't think he has strong enough handle, and the reason why I also say a guy like Ben Simmons, 6'10", he can see over top of the defense. You know what I'm saying? Like these things make a big difference. You have a guy like that can see over the. You know we can't keep going with a 6'4" or 6'2" Brunson and a 6'4" Josh Hart, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? We got to have someone tall that can facilitate, that can see over the defense. Our guys can't see over the defense when the defense really starts to crowd us, when we got long wings playing defense on us. If we have a
My
guy that can see over top of that defense, now it's easy to get Bridges cut into the basket so he can, you know, shoot
my
that fade away. You know what I'm saying? Find OG, find Brunson. You know what I mean? It was even hard getting Brunson the ball when he's playing off the ball. You know what I'm saying? You know, we have someone else bringing the ball up, and we're trying to hand Bronson the ball off by half court, almost going back court. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, my only other thing, and again, this is a hope of mine because I said it before the year. I didn't think they would implement these things for Cat this year, right? But arguably, Cat is a better passer than Randall, right? And we already know the gravitation that Randall brought. So I think coming into the new year, we could utilize Cat in that role. You know what I mean? And that should take the ball out of Brunson's hands.
but
He's a better passer and open up. Like it was a hope of mine this year, but it wasn't like I wasn't banking on it. I thought that's something he would implement coming into the
right,
next year.
but
The
when a team,
difference with Randall is Randall was already here before Brunson, so that was already a implemented system.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Before Brunson got here, which helped him to alleviate some of that pressure for.
I
You know what I
think
mean?
I think the difference though is Cat bringing the ball up the floor when they're playing defense 94 feet. When they're playing full court pressure, are you relying on Cat to bring the ball up the floor? See, Randall could be like could just you get that kind of pressure, you give it to Randall to help release the pressure. You know what I'm saying? And
So
and
I don't
he
know if I would.
is facilitating and still can facilitate.
I don't know if I would be. I don't know definitively if I would be more worried about Cat doing that than I was like at the time when Brandon was doing it. Especially with when you talk about with pressure, you know what I mean? Like if you're not talking about like when you talk about with pressure, I wasn't confident with Randall bringing the ball up. I was
No,
more
I
confident
mean,
with somebody else.
yeah, but he could do it. I mean, I don't
He
know.
he could do it because it was his responsibility more time.
Yeah,
Like
I
but
mean,
before Brunson got here.
right. I mean, but what I'm saying is it's different than Cat. I just don't think. I mean, Cat can get the ball at the elbow and facilitate from the elbow,
I mean, that's what I was talking
right?
about.
Right. But I'm saying
You
when they're
just talking
playing that
about
kind
bringing
of
it up.
pressure defense, and you need someone to be able to handle the pressure while Cat, Jalen Brunson are off the ball, but not just bringing it up. I think it's got to be different. When you're bringing it up under pressure, you may not see. I don't know how many times this series when we had, one of those Josh Hart or Bridges bringing the ball up. Yeah, they're bringing it up, but they're not
Even
really able to handle that defensive pressure in them. So like they're in the freaking coffin corner dribbling the ball low
but
with their back to the offense.
but that was like, to be honest, that wasn't no different from last year. Like they figured that out last year.
Who?
And
Yeah,
Indiana,
but Randall wasn't there
he
when they
was
played against them.
he wasn't there. But
But
my thing
that's what
is,
I'm saying. We didn't have another facilitator that could help facilitate with that kind of pressure because Randall wasn't there when they played him in the playoffs, right? And this year it's the same thing. We didn't have a guy that can help relieve that kind of pressure. We kept seeing these guys in the corner with their back to the rest of the offense. You know what I'm saying? Because the pressure was so tight. Now they were getting away with some bumping and bruising. Even Brunson sometimes was doing it. So I think we need a guy that can handle the pressure and still facilitate while handling the pressure of getting the ball up so that you can get these other guys in the flow of the offense and just let Brunson do Brunson when he has the ball. And that other person can worry about facilitating. You know what I'm saying? Now, Andre Bryant, he would be perfect. I don't know how he is with his injury and with his money and all of that stuff, but Lonzo Ball is like perfect for that, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? He pushes the ball up the floor. He can play defense. He can shoot it a little bit. He can see over the defense. He can facilitate. Like he'd be perfect right there next to Brunson. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know what his
listen,
situation.
I I think he would be more motivated than Ben Simmons.
Oh yeah,
But I think I I don't know where his injury thing like really is. You know what I mean? Like so.
right. So I don't know where we get that guy. So this is where I understood when they were talking about the Knicks getting DeJounte Murray, when there was rumors that they were interested in DeJounte Murray, because he would have been perfect there too.
So back then it was Shea, which even though mad people was like, "Oh, that you crazy? They ain't traded Shea," and I thought it was a possibility. Like
Mhm.
now, I understand. Like, like they ain't traded Shea, but Murray was my second guy.
DeJounte Murray would fit really nice next to Brunson. Super nice next to Brunson. I don't know, like the character part, I don't know, but
Surround him by character guys. You
surrounded,
got it.
yeah.
You got, you know what I mean. You got to fall in line for the most part.
And maybe I am tripping about Ben Simmons, but he's the prototype that I have in my brain. You know what I'm saying? He's the prototype that I have in my brain of a guy. If, except for the shooting, he doesn't shoot it, but he's the prototype that shoot. I mean, I ain't even gonna say that, but he's the prototype that I have in my brain of a guy that we need. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be afraid to take a flyer on him if he's coming cheap.
I mean, yeah, if he's coming, West Russell Westbrook price, like you can't say no to that. Um, I agree in that sense. You know what I mean? But minimal, hell yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Uh, Tonight though, turnovers, free throws, transition defense. Those are the areas tonight. Those are the Darren Wayne
Eh,
said he's going to San Antonio. Okay, I mean, Pop ain't there no more, but he
Who
might
said
start.
that?
Uh, Darren Wayne said
Who?
Ben Simmons going to San Antonio. We'll see. But tonight, man, turnovers, free throws, and poor transition defense. Right? Turnovers, free throws, poor transition defense killed us all night long. 10 turnovers in the first half. Uh, you know, we score a bucket, they come back down and score a fast break bucket
off the yeah. After we scored.
off of us scoring. That killed us tonight. Turnovers killed us tonight. Every time we start making a run, we turn the ball over. You know what I'm saying? You know, it killed us, and then at a certain point, you can't fight back anymore. You know what I mean? Killed us tonight. Killed us tonight. And it's something that when you go into the off season, um, I don't know. We took care of the ball most of the year. We took care of the ball.
Mhm.
I don't know what it was about this series that really had us turning the ball over like this, but we took care of the ball all year. We averaged 12 turnovers a game.
I think part of it was their experience, not just like from last year, but from playing us last year.
Hmm.
Not much changed schematically, and when it did, if Cat went off, we won. You know what I mean? If Cat didn't go off, we didn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they have 2 years of experience now, playoff experience of Brunson and kind of figuring out schematically how we can minimize him or how we could still win whether if he goes off. You know what I mean? Like honestly, what the games we won, it wasn't like Brunson won them. It would have been that in game one, and that was again. That's another reason why you're right, because that would have been a game changer. But other than game one, it was the games we won. It was the supporting cast, the contributing factors that brought us over the top. Those were the things they had to figure out during this series. They kind of knew what they was going to do with Brunson because of last year. And last year Brunson started off hot, but as the series went on, you know what I mean. They started to figure them out, and I think they implemented some of them things and added some things.
Yeah. Yeah. you know, um, Another step closer, right? We won an Eastern Conference Finals game for the first time in 25 years. Um,
At home.
at home. I mean, we won two Eastern Conference Finals games for the first time in 25 years, right? So, we have some things to build on. That's without a doubt. We definitely have some things to build on. Yeah, I can't understand the turnovers versus this team. The free throws, we've been up and down with the free throws all season long. You know what I mean? And the transition defense, I mean, and I'm not talking about the fast breaks. I'm talking about them scoring off of us scoring. That was crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure it's something that Rick Carlisle saw as we were playing against Detroit, playing against Boston, and said they're susceptible to this.
Mhm.
They'll let us score. So let's put,
they started the series with it. So I think overall we were good at it. We were good at it against Indiana because that's not like something they just implemented for us. That's something they do. So I think it was a focal point. I just think over the course of multiple games in the series, they get burnt a couple of times. I don't think it was like a glaring thing for the series. I think we did good for it for the series. I
yeah,
think tonight it was bad, and I think there was probably another loss that it was
yeah. I think
bad.
I think that it happened a couple times versus Boston,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they might have looked
And
at that and said they will let this happen when they score. Let's push that ball up the floor because look at this and pointed out, a few times in Boston. See this, see this, see this. We can make that happen. And then once it happened a couple times, like you're saying, um, then they were like, oh yeah, we got to go with this. And it would happen three, four times a game. I can
but
never.
but at the same
Wait.
time, that's something Boston does too
Yeah.
throughout. You know what I mean? Like throughout the
Mhm.
year. So I think I don't think it was like a miss, like it wasn't a focal point.
Okay.
I think over the course, if this is something they kind of look for every time,
Hmm.
you you're gonna have lapses. You know what I mean? Like some of the lapses they may not find, they may miss. Some of them lapses they may try and it might be a turnover, and some of them lapses is gonna
Yeah.
burn you.
And
I think
see,
tonight we got burnt.
but the thing that confuses me is it's such an easy thing to stop. You
It,
see the ball go in the basket, get back.
every,
And don't get back see, you don't have to get back and grab your man right away. Get back to the paint first. Get back to the lowest point. Get back to the corners and get back to the paint. And then when you see the ball is thrown up the floor, go locate where the ball is.
you,
It's not
you
that
know you
I
know what
see. Yeah,
you
go
know
ahead.
what the real problem is, sir? And we talked about this when we was having that 3 hour conversation the other night. The, Brunson, Cat, OG, all these guys be on the floor on
Yeah.
make
Yeah,
layups,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No doubt about
and
it.
that and
Make
that's
sure,
that's a
bro.
huge problem
Yeah.
because it's a disadvantage. A lot of times it be the cross matches already from defense, and now you got a guy on the floor, so it makes it even a bigger disadvantage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then little things like they showed a replay of Obi Toppin leaking out. And I'm not blaming Shaman, but he was in the replay. He's standing right there next to Obi. Obi leaks out. He's still looking at the ball. The ball went into the basket. I mean, I know you're watching the play, but you didn't have the ball. You're not in the play. You should have floor balance. It's your job now to balance the floor. This guy's leaking back. I'm running back with him. You know what I'm saying? And this is my job now. I'm not worried about if it gets kicked out to me for a three. And I'm not saying that's what he was worried about. I'm just saying, that there's a possibility that's what he was thinking.
Yeah, and figure out the matchup later, how to fix the matchup later.
How to
But
fix the
yeah,
matchup.
right now, this is my
Right now,
responsibility.
this is my responsibility because he's running back. You know what I'm saying? And too many times I seen one time Pascal was up the court and Mitch was back, right?
Hmm.
But you know what he didn't do? He was running side by side with Pascal instead of let me get all the way back to the paint. Now, if they pass it up to Pascal, I can get there and guard him. You know what I'm saying? Instead, Pascal runs past him. Those are little things that can be fixed. You know, little things. Like, let me get to JJ from Brooklyn. JJ, what's poppin', brother? How you feeling, man?
I'll be right back, son.
Sam Tony, what's good, fellas? How you doing, man?
Chilling, man.
Going on?
It's a rough
Ah,
night because we're eliminated, but I'm chilling.
big time. Yeah, yeah. This is gonna stink for a minute. It's gonna. I just think the fact that it was to the Pacers again, just like You know what I'm saying? Like again, back-to-back years, and
Yeah.
I just feel like listen, I got to tip my cap to the Pacers. You know, I hate to say it, but specifically Nemhard. I thought the job he did on Brunson tonight was pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he locked him up pretty good. I got to be honest.
He did. He
You
did a
know,
good
getting
job.
into him all the way down court,
Mm-hmm.
he was all over him. You know, he did a pretty unbelievable job. He made it super difficult. What do you have? 19 points on like 18 shots, something
Yeah.
like that.
And he played good. He
You
played
know,
good.
yeah, he played good.
He played
Yeah,
good. You know, so I mean, listen,
yeah,
Jalen Brunson was frustrated the entire series. And some of his
he
frustration
was.
came out tonight. You know what I'm saying? But he
Yeah,
was very
right.
frustrated the entire series. He could not get what he wanted cleanly.
Nah, nah.
You know what I'm
Even his
saying?
points, it was all a struggle. It was difficult. You know.
Difficult. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything was a struggle for him. They were bumping him.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know, they
Yep.
were they were being physical with him. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And he was just
Yeah.
it was everything was tough for Jalen Brunson.
Right. Right. And that's the thing. Like you see Halliburton's baskets and Siakam's, it's like it was like easy. You know, like it
Yeah.
wasn't like a super struggle. And with Brunson, it was the opposite.
And
You
for
know.
Cat, it was the same way. When Cat caught the ball, Pascal was
Right.
bumping him and moving him, and three
Exactly.
guys are coming down and just scraping and scrapping, and all of them are
Right.
fouling him. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
they made it tough for
Yeah.
those two guys to get buckets.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was
Right.
a struggle.
100%.
It was a struggle
Yeah.
for them guys to score.
100%.
I mean, and they were going to have big nights,
100%.
but even when they had big nights, it was a struggle for them to score.
Right. Right. 100%.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it
I
was a
just feel
struggle.
like that you guys were mentioning just the scoring off of our makes, like the fast breaks off our makes. That was driving me crazy. The
Yeah,
scoring, like we're not getting back. Like
right.
what's going on,
Yeah, and we're not seeing it. I mean,
man?
it'll be a guy right next to us that's about to catch the ball, and we're
Yeah,
not seeing it. It's like, what are we doing?
yeah,
How do you not see that?
man. That had me throwing my TV remote, and I hope it's not broken. But you know, that
I
was
feel you.
driving me. Yeah, that. What can you say? I mean, listen, what were they? From 17 for 33. We were what 9 for 32. I
And
mean,
that was one thing that scared
I,
me in the first half. They were hot even though it was a close game, they were hot from the 3-point line,
right,
and we were turning the ball over.
right. Yeah, the turnovers, 10 combined with between Brunson and McCall.
Yeah,
Brunson
it's
just had
crazy.
terrible turn. Like one thing I noticed, I think they were playing his passes, Brunson, very aggressive. Like
Hmm.
it's like they kind of had a memo that like he does. I noticed too during this game specifically, on some of his passes, he wasn't putting much umph on it. It was almost like a floater, like a changeup
Yeah,
in baseball. I
yeah,
noticed, and that's just those were some of the plays where they were getting steals.
right,
Like he's not putting enough spice on it.
right, right.
Yeah.
You know,
So I don't know if that was on their, scouting report or whatever, but that's
may,
something I even noticed.
I mean, Brunson, he's not the first time that he's passed the ball like that. I've seen him pass the ball like that,
Right. Right.
plenty of
Right.
times. This is why I'm telling you, we need
Right.
a facilitator out there. Let Brunson just go to work scoring and get a
Yeah.
facilitator that can get the
Yeah.
other people involved.
How much?
Yeah.
How much has the strategy of going at them, going at specifically Brunson and Cat, affected their confidence or their ability to kind of? Because to me, I think Indiana utilized it the most.
Mm-hmm.
It was utilized all playoffs, but Indiana, it was almost like every single possession. You know what I mean, and I don't know if that became too much to kind of overcome, especially when the supporting cast, not Cat, not Brunson, the supporting cast didn't really rise to the occasion.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
Right.
know. I mean, maybe during this series, I don't know overall if it's going to affect their confidence.
Yeah,
Definitely.
this series I'm only talking about.
Yeah, this series, I'm sure it had to. It had to affect it at least a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And you're
I think
probably
so.
worried about, damn, when I get the ball. I mean, Brunson's turning the ball over. You know what I mean? You have to be worried about, are you going to get hit? Are you going to get bumped? Am I, yeah.
And if you look at it overall, you know what I mean, the numbers, the performances, these guys did great, both of them, Brunson and Cat. But to deal with that every game, every possession, you know what I mean, like it becomes exhausting, and you're dealing with the pace, which becomes exhausting. Yeah, you know what I mean, like they really, shout out to them, man. They strategically, I think it ran their course. The minutes, you know what I mean. Tibbs had to adjust to the rotations and kind of figure that out, whether it was minutes or just whatever it was. He had to adjust. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think all that kind of built up.
Yeah. And let me get to a super chat real quick.
I
Ricardo.
feel like my fault. Go ahead.
JJ, let me get to a couple super chats. I'll come right back to you. Ricardo Kuster, thank you for the super chat. He says, Sim, do we get better or do we just get further? For some reason, I was more confident with last year's roster. Salute. I think we will get better. You got to remember, this is a first-year roster for the most part. The core of this team has been together for the first year. They've learned a lot in these playoffs, and I think it's going to help. They're going to grow next year. They're going to get better from this next year. You know what I mean? They'll learn how to play with each other more. Tibbs will learn how to use his players a little bit better. You'll have an off season to look at everything and start to figure out the best ways to use those players. They'll be more familiar with each other's tendencies. There should be more chemistry. So I think they definitely get better. You know what I mean? And they'll probably add a piece or two to the bench that's going to help them to get better. So yeah, I think the team gets better, and hopefully gets further next year. You know what I mean? Ain't no reason getting better if you ain't gonna get further at some point. Sean Hawkins said the best New York basketball team right now is the New York Liberty. I mean, we were just in the Eastern Conference Finals, bro. Come on. We made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. MRC 1987 said, what's your thoughts on fixing our bench? We gotta add we gotta bring players in. You know what I mean? I think we need a facilitator. You get a facilitator. I would like it to be a starting guy and send Josh Hart to the bench. You boosted your bench. And we need a scorer, I think, off the bench. You know what I mean? A consistent scorer off the bench that can defend too. They don't got to be a superstar, but a consistent guy that can defend and score. But if we can get that facilitator, now that guy can help facilitate when Brunson's in the game, when Brunson's not in the game. You know what I mean? I really think we need a guy like that to help get the other people more involved. Because Bridges ain't it. He ain't doing it. He's not that guy. You know what I mean? And OG's not a facilitator at all. So, he's just he's just not a facilitator at all. Go ahead, JJ. You were gonna say something. Then I'll let you go. I know we probably got some other callers.
Yeah. I just feel like it was kind of, I don't know what the word is, but just the fact that Thomas Bryant was hitting those big threes, and he was actually benched for I forget what was the big man that was playing that got hurt a couple games ago.
Yeah, I forgot his name. Yeah.
I forgot his name, but of course he leapfrogs him because of injury when he got benched, and then he hits some big shots tonight. So it's kind of like that.
Thomas freaking Bryant.
Thomas freaking Bryant. Yeah, tough.
Knocking down corner threes, man.
He stayed ready, man.
He was ready. Knocking down corner threes on us, man. Red, thank you for the super chat. He was ready.
Appreciate you, man.
All right,
Keep your heads
JJ.
up, man.
Appreciate you, bro. Peace.
All right, man.
Peace.
All right, peace.
Yeah. So I don't know. It seems like we've been talking the entire show about the off season, but what are your goals for the off season? What do you think the Knicks' goals for the off season should be?
I mean, first off, as currently constructed, without you know what I mean, looking outside of that, I want, to your point, I think Brunson needs help. So I think what we need to do is really find ways to implement Cat more,
Mhm.
Bridges more, OG more, and really utilize everybody around him. And then his role can really be defined to down the stretch. You know what I mean? And it becomes a lot easier even during the game before it's down the stretch.
Yeah.
If the rest of the guys are going. So just a less Brunson centric offense and more of a team centric. I think that's the ultimate goal for what is constructed. We got to deepen the bench. I think when it comes to growth,
Mhm.
Mitchell Robinson. Well, before I talk about Mitchell Robinson, I think Deuce McBride has continuously shown growth. I think like he's solidified, and then Mitchell Robinson, he like his playoff run. When we do the awards for the year,
Mhm.
Mitchell Robinson is getting an award for his playoff run. I'm not sure which one it is, but
He was dominating early in this game.
I mean, all playoffs, his impact was felt in every series.
Yeah.
So one way or another, his impact was felt, and teams had to adjust and figure out how to deal with it. So, I Mitchell Robinson, man, I don't want to hear no. He got to go trade Mitchell Robinson. Like his impact, if we're not bringing back somebody that exceeds his impact defensively, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who's gonna? Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that. You know what I'm saying? Because if we get a whole year of him starting next to Cat, you know what I'm saying? And really try to get that thing well oiled. Now, here's the thing, and you mentioned this before. You can't have Ben Simmons and Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup together. That'd be a disaster.
You can't.
That'd be a
You
disaster.
you
You can't do
you
that.
you almost can't have them on the team together because even if you having them not play together and playing at opposite times, you always gonna have somebody that is
Can't shoot.
worth fouling and to put on the line.
Mm.
Like you can't even adjust. You know what I mean? Like you got to take them both out and find another guy. So yeah, you definitely can't. You can't go that route.
It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. Let me get to a phone call. Mets, what's up with
Hey,
you, brother? How you feeling, man?
I'm going to be blunt. The
Uh-oh.
reason the Knicks got beat tonight was once again too much over reliance on drop coverage on perimeter three. Tibbs never preaches being up on those kinds of shooters. He's always been that stubborn 90s in the paint coach. And if he's around for one more year, I'm not sure if this team even recovers. Because I am sick of a coach who has this play in the postseason while in the regular season 24/7 mentality. We saw how much success we've gotten with at least having a 10 or 11, a 9 to 10 man deep bench. The problem is we have a coach who is so stingy with who he lets off that bench. And I'm sick of it.
So what's your solution?
I mean, My point is, Tibbs is a good coach, but he's got massive character flaws. He is stubborn, he lacks integrity, and he never holds himself accountable for the
Integrity?
mistakes.
Okay, he's definitely stubborn. I don't know about lacks integrity. He's definitely stubborn. There's no doubt about that. We know that. Who are you bringing in? Who do you want to be the coach of this team then?
I don't want to say it. Someone like Mike Malone.
That's going to be most people's pick. Mike Malone. Why was Mike Malone ousted in Denver?
Because he was stubborn.
But at least he's got a ring, something Tibbs lacks.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to get one. He would get one with Cat and Brunson.
I tell you one thing though, he might decide to run the offense through Cat and say I see some similarities to what I had and,
right?
and what you
That's
what you
true.
could do.
That's true. Let me see.
But again, I ain't on that train. I'm just pointing out.
I know, but I'm just also saying, when you look at someone like Carlisle, how did he beat Thibodeau again? Answer, bench depth. Something he's got in spades and knows how to use in spades because he won a title back 14 years ago with Dallas. He knows how to use what's on the bench and let them shine. Tibbs leaves them to rust.
I think we won the bench match of three out of three, at least 3 games. The bench was non-existent tonight.
I think,
and they played
after game 2. After game 2, I think we used our bench more than they minutes wise.
But
they said we used the bench more than they did.
For me, anyway, by that point, it was too little, too late.
That's fair.
You wasted 96 games to finally pull your head out of your ass and use a 9, 10, or even 11-man bench. You waited till game 97 to do that.
Okay. I'll give it to you. I don't think that's why we lost. But okay. I don't think that's why we lost. I really don't. I think we lost because Rick Carlisle is a better tactician. That's why
true.
I think we lost. He's right now, Pop is gone. Between him and
now
Eric
the torch is
Spoelstra,
on Carlisle.
Between him and Eric Spoelstra might be the best tacticians in the league. Because that guy can see the game and make decisions about what is happening on the floor. Yeah, he's a heck of a tactician, man.
And he asked me, even though Carlisle's got fewer rings, Spoelstra's basically under the gun next year with how bad Miami has gotten.
Mm.
Know what I mean?
You
know what I mean, Sims?
He might be. But I mean, Spoelstra is a tactician. Spoelstra knows what he's doing out there. I think Spoelstra will,
And he's a coach that tends to do more with less.
Yeah.
And more with more. You know what I mean? So I think he's gonna be fine.
But all I'm saying is, if Spoelstra can't get the same run he's had the last 2 years, i.e., gets out of the play-in, but gets knocked out in 4 or 5 games in the first round, that's it for him next year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to move him up the management ladder. Because let's face it, with how bad Jimmy Butler and the Jimmy Butler trade screwed over Miami.
But that's not on the coach. That's on the management.
True. But I'm not sure if that's going to be something Miami will be ever able to recover from.
Yeah, well, I don't know about Miami, but I'm expecting.
Indiana, on the other hand, has the golden opportunity. What's the name of the Thunder coach again? I keep forgetting.
I don't know, but he ain't experienced. That's the one thing. That's the one thing Indiana definitely has an advantage.
That's true. But that team is tough over there, boy.
And why does some tell me Adam Silver has written the perfect and the NBA script writers? And yes, I still am under the premonition that NBA, like the NFL, MLB, wrestling, and to a lesser extent the NHL, are all rigged in one way or another. Has written the perfect script for Indiana to take it all this year.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. I personally think OKC is winning that series, but it's gonna be fun to watch. I can tell you that, because OKC
The X factor is
tough.
coaching experience. We've all agreed Carlisle has been a major player in these sorts of situations. Then give me a minute. OKC coach.
Well, I mean, listen, OKC.
Mark Daignault, or however you pronounce it.
Yeah, OKC is they're very, very good. And I see Jordan Smith in the chat saying, stop. Listen, OKC is tough. I'm not saying the Pacers are good. I'm not saying they're not good. They are. But OKC is tough. They're tough. You know what I mean?
Is it pronounced Dianol or Dayanol for the Thunder?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
It's Dianol. I don't
But
know.
Mets, what are your goals? Before I let you go, what are your goals for the offseason?
1, preserve any future first-round draft picks we have left at any and all costs, and stop spendthrift Rose from giving them away for another get-rich-quick scheme. Probably blow up in his face, like with Bridges. 2, no trading back second-round picks in the draft. I know that's not really much of a
Do we
goal,
even have
but
a draft pick? I don't think
What'd
we
you
got.
say?
I don't think we have anything to work with in the draft this year. So you ain't gotta worry about that.
I thought we had at least 1 second-round pick.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I don't think we got anything to work with.
Yeah, that's because Mr. Rose is a spendthrift who needs to be stopped. And 3, develop the bench
All right.
and let them play in the regular season.
All right.
No more of this 24/7 playoff mentality.
All right. All right, Mets. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time, brother.
Nice.
Let's go Mets.
Peace. Oh no. Goals for the offseason. Let me get to another super chat real quick. Canberry said Brunson and Cat are the worst defenders at their positions. This isn't on Tibbs. Knicks need another playmaker on the court with Brunson. Yes, I agree 100%. We need another playmaker on the court. That's for sure. You know what I mean? Brunson and Cat. I don't know. We got to figure that out. We got to figure that out. We got to figure that out.
I don't know that there is figuring out.
Yeah.
I think you know what I mean? I think they are who they are. At best they could be serviceable. You know what I mean? At best they could stay out of foul trouble and play smart. Like that's what they're gonna have to rely on. Playing smart defensively rather than, you know what I mean, like actually stopping guys. And you know what I mean, like you stop them by being by outsmarting them.
Yeah, I'm getting petition out though, Tony. Zone.
If
now, oh, it can help
while they're out there. Yes,
it can help.
Because we're good when one of them is out. We're good when both of them are out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're even better defensively.
Right.
Respectfully.
Silk, what's poppin', man?
Yo, son, what's up, Tony? I said I didn't want to call you on this Saturday. They made me have to call you on this.
Yeah, yeah, man. I know.
I wanted to call on Monday, but they made me call on Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, and my boy Mess, man, I love Mess. He's Mr. Sunshine, boy. But it says, son, we need a wing reliable scorer. Bridges ain't it. I ain't saying get rid of Bridges. And OG is a helper. He's not a reliable. See, that's why they were so easy for them to trap our point guard and our center. It's harder to trap a reliable wing who can score consistently when you're doing that. You guard him up front and you guard him back. And you got somebody in the middle who can just kill you. That's harder to do. And Ben Simmons, I love you, Simmons, but that ain't gonna work. Tips like people who work, and Ben Simmons, I don't think like work. He like taking every 3 days off.
Yo, man.
Every 3 days off. Okay. So I don't know who we gonna get. I was thinking CP3 for our bench, but we need somebody to help Brunson in the starting lineup because Bridges, that you can see when he get pressured, he's worse than Hart with the turnover.
Both of them.
Here's the thing with CP3. CP3 will be great all around. But he doesn't help with the targeting of a guy defensively. Now, what I will say is because he's been able to overcome that throughout his career, he may help in schematically how to overcome being a liability defensively. You know what I mean? But at this point in his career, I don't know if he still has the movements himself. He may be able to help Brunson in that area and then help the supporting cast he's on the floor with, just because he's still a great facilitator, great great true point guard.
Yeah, because I heard San Antonio said they're not bringing him back, so he gonna be a free agent out there. And it definitely looks like we ain't bringing back Cam. So
Cam, ready? Okay. Oh, that's Payne. Yeah. I was about to say, wait a minute.
Yeah. So. We ain't bringing back campaign, and even though I like what Shaman did, we probably gonna look for an upgrade for him. So it's basically our bench right now is Deuce and Mitchell Robinson, and whatever else we can.
I mean, Chris Paul is a upgrade over campaign, 100%, or anybody on our bench. So
yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm just not sure. Could he have handled this pressure defense too? I'm not sure at his age he can handle this kind of pressure defense also. So I think that has to be a win.
He'll be way better at it. Yeah, way better.
He can handle that.
He's been doing that his whole career.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Didn't that Alvarado kid used to stress him out?
Nah, I think he'd be all right. I don't think he's gonna. He ain't having a problem.
Even if his ability is not there, schematically, he's gonna be able to coach his way through it. You know what I mean? Like on the floor.
True. So if you had him, we probably got. Let me not even go there. So we got plenty of time to discuss who we gonna get with the bench. I just feel like I don't think Bridges or OG is that the wing that should be starting next to Brunson and Cat. I think we need another. I think one of those cats supposed to go to the bench to help out to go with Hart, and we need an upgrade of somebody who can consistently score. The Bridges is too inconsistent for me. He can score his mid-range, but he don't do it every game. And he don't have no other way. He don't have no other consistent other way of scoring besides his mid-range. Even his mid-range ain't consistent. We need a consistent third winger. You agree with me, or am I
no,
just
I agree. A facilitator. We need a facilitating wing. That's what I believe.
But you think it's Ben Simmons? Somebody who can't shoot,
Listen,
don't shoot.
I think he
He's
can.
just a bigger John Hart than me.
Now, if you have Mitch out there, if you're starting Mitch, then no, probably not Ben Simmons starting. But I actually believe I wasn't a fan of having Ben Simmons when he was making $30 million. At whatever he's going to make, $10 million or less, I think it's a different story.
But Sam, let me ask you a question. We are fussing right now over Josh Hart being in the lane and not shooting jump shots that he can hit and trying to pass it off, and everybody sitting back and waiting for him to do that.
I get that, but I
Ben
just
Simmons
think
is worse. Simmons don't want to do layups.
I know, but I just think I think his facility if you have him out there, you still got OG, you got 4 scorers, like legitimate scorers around them that can shoot the ball from 3, and all of them can shoot it at a high clip. And so I think his ability to facilitate that would lend to the Knicks offense, because you can still spread the floor by having, if he has the ball in his hands, his defenders got to be up on him, right? I mean, they could try to lay back, but he's big enough to bring him down into the post too. I think I think he has some facilitation skills that could really be utilized with this team. That's just what I think.
If we could, the guy I want on our team as a starting power forward next year is Najee Marshall. If there's some way we could get Najee Marshall from Dallas, because they got too many guys that will play the same position, power forward, small forward. And they get what's the name, Cooper coming in there is a small forward type player.
Okay,
anyway we could steal Najee Marshall from Dallas, I would love that.
Hey, Silk, can I stop you right there for just 1 second? I want to say something to Kevin. Kevin said, and I stopped myself from saying this earlier. He said, getting Simmons is like having Elfrid Payton. That didn't work out. I mean, we made it to the playoffs with him as the starting point guard, but we didn't have the type of team that we had here. He's a facilitator. He's 6'4", though. He's another 6'4" guy. I'm looking for somebody who can see over the defense. You know what I'm saying? But he can facilitate, and he can get the ball to the people that needs to get the ball and play defense. That's all I'm saying.
Give me Dante back, and I'll be happy.
We need a facilitator out there, man.
We need some shooting out there, sir. So you can see they were double teaming Cat and Brunson and Darren. Anybody from the outside hit a shot,
right? Because we have nobody. Because we have nobody else that can facilitate besides Brunson, and he's not even really a facilitator. We have no facilitator really. Brunson's a scorer. He's not really facilitating for everybody else. Who's facilitating?
He's not a reliable outside shooter, and OG was in the slump this whole series.
You said what?
We had no. Bridges is not a reliable shooter.
But what I'm saying,
and OG was in the slump this whole series. We need another sniper out there in our starting lineup.
So check it out. See, I don't think it's just a sniper. That's the reason why this works for Indiana, the way that they play, is because Tyrese Halliburton is a facilitator. First, he can get everybody else involved and still score the ball. We don't have a guy that can get everybody else involved. Who on our team can get everybody else involved? Who on our team does that? John Smith said Kolek. We'll see if he becomes that guy. But like for right now, we didn't have anybody that can do that. We need someone that can get these other guys involved.
But that's not our offense. Our offense is isolation, and then when we get double team, move the ball then.
But is it our offense because we don't have a guy that does it? Or is it our offense because these are the guys that we have?
In the beginning of the season, we were facilitating, cutting, moving, passing the ball. As soon as they took that away,
but that's what I'm saying, though.
We need somebody to open it up.
But see, that's what I'm saying. As soon as they took that away, we didn't have anyone that could facilitate and keep it going. We need to have a guy that can facilitate. And maybe Ben Simmons ain't it, but we need to have a guy that can facilitate. I think we need to have a guy that can facilitate out there, so that when when it breaks down, the offensive system like that breaks down, like you're saying early in the season, boom, 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 boom. When it breaks down, you still have a guy that can get people involved with his own mind and his
But
own knowledge of the game.
this is the problem with them. You look at our team. Besides, who's the best outside shooter on our starting five?
Cat.
Brunson. And so you're gonna ask him to shoot and facilitate. If one of the other guys was a consistent outside shooter, Brunson could facilitate. But you got to now. The only reason we got back in this series is because we had to get Brunson off ball to be the shooter.
But Brunson,
because the other guys wasn't shooting.
But see, Brunson's a scorer. I mean, he can shoot, he can facilitate, but I think he's more of a scorer. I think that's more of who he is. And if we have a facilitator, Hart can't do this. Bridges can't do it. They can't. When we try to get Brunson, like you said it when you first came on, you try to get Brunson off the ball, they turning the ball over. We get a guy that can facilitate. Brunson can play off the ball. He can rest a little bit. He don't got to have the ball in his hands to try to get anyone else involved. He can go chill and let whoever's facilitating try to get other people involved. And then if they don't get involved, get the ball to Brunson and let him go to work.
I just don't want to facilitate it. They ain't hitting layups or open shots.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Because that's Josh. We got a Josh out on this team. I don't need another one who's taller.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair.
That's all I'm saying. If we get a facilitator, fine. But at least he can hit a mid-range or open shot or something.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
we're gonna have Mitchell Robinson there. I love Mitch. Mitch was dominant in his role. They couldn't do nothing with him. But as you saw, he went out of breath.
Yeah.
All the energy he put up, and he got tired out.
Yeah.
So he gave us that good first quarter, and then after that it was sporadic.
Yeah.
The energy was they knew they could run Mitch to get a little tired at the end of the game.
Right.
So that's what they try to do, run you in the beginning so you can't mess with them at the end.
Yeah. Nah, I feel you.
So, but like I said, you're gonna have Mitch with Cat. OG or Bridges got to be a consistent scorer on our team, and I don't feel neither one. They can score, they can get hot in certain games, but then they won't give us 20 every game.
And that's why I think a facilitator will help them guys get the ball in the best spots to be able to score consistently. That's why I think we need a facilitator to make sure that those guys are getting the ball in the best spots to score.
All right, let's see what Leon Rose does, y'all.
We'll see.
I
trust him. I trust him.
You know, yeah, I trust him too. I hope I'm still alive by the time we get it figured out.
Yeah. All right, so.
All
right, peace. Red, thank you for the super chat. He said, we seen teams like Chris Webber, Kings, and Steve Nash's Suns stayed the course and don't got nothing to show for it. Nothing is guaranteed. That's true. But if you're constantly elevating, then I think you got to keep trying to win. You know what I'm saying? You can't just cut it short. Like if you keep switching it up every year, I think you can't just keep switching it up every year, in my opinion. You got to let the team grow a little bit. The teams that you're seeing winning now have grown together. Canberry, thank you for the super chat. He said, Cat averaged 1 assist for the playoffs. When I mentioned it last round, everyone was mad. The dude has pure tunnel vision. It's not just Brunson chucking.
I think we needed Cat to score. I think he needed to make himself a threat offensively. Nobody else really held their own next to Brunson with Brunson on this team. Like everybody else, arguably has subpar series offensively.
Yeah.
So I think I think his assist total doesn't reflect his assist ability or what we needed from him.
Yeah.
We didn't even go to him enough for him to kind of spread that out. Assists and points.
Right. Yeah. Let me get to the last call of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Caller, you're live. Name me where you're from, please.
Yes, my name is Karan. I'm calling from Atlanta by way of the Bronx.
All right, Karan, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. First time calling in, been watching the show for a long time. But my main thing I want to talk about, two things. Like I'm in agreement with you about us getting a facilitator. Brunson is taking too long to get the ball up the court. And with the ball out of his hands, he seems to play a lot better. You know, and then also, I do think it's time to make a change, a coaching change. I think Thibodeau, you know, for all that he's done, he's got us where we are. Coach is already defined. So I don't think it matters, you know, culture-wise. We need somebody that can take us over the top, kind of like the Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr thing. And I don't think Thibodeau is that guy. He's too stubborn. You know, he waits too late. And I believe he cost us game one. You know, and I wanted to speak on that because he brought Brunson in exactly 5 minutes in the first quarter. I mean, at the end of game one, exactly 5 minutes. And we were up with a lead, and the other team wasn't making a comeback. And I got into it with some guys on the chat about, you know, yeah, he's our closer, but you don't need a closer when you got the lead, and the other team's not making a run. They just trading baskets with you. So that kind of set the tone to me for the series. So his stubbornness and lack of going to his bench and finding out what he actually got sitting on that bench is a problem for us. And I think that has to change. And then the way he like uses us through the season, we play game one like it's the playoffs instead of developing guys on our bench. So come playoff time, we don't even know what we got. We could have diamonds in the rough sitting over there, and we don't even know what we got. So, you know, that's my issue with Thibodeau, and I don't think he's going to get any better. And like, you know, you can't take it for granted that you're going to get there again next year. We're kind of in that Goldilocks part of our season where our guys are like, you know, they're not old, but they're not young either. And you got teams coming up like, you know, Orlando's and the Detroits that are, you know, got these young dudes coming. Boston's probably going to take a sabbatical next year, but they'll be back in the mix the year after that. So we can't keep taking for granted our opportunities. And then we really don't have the ability or the flexibility to really get that much better. So, you know, and then Halliburton beat us. That's what's killing me, man. It's like Reggie Miller 2.0. I can't stand it, man.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that hurts.
That's really all I got.
That hurts, man. Halliburton beat us.
That's killing me, man.
I don't like Halliburton.
No, man. He's just the reincarnation of Reggie Miller, man. And choking, and then him taking that 3-point shot when game was over.
Right.
You know, that was so like despicable, man.
Yeah.
You know, like TJ McConnell was the only one who had class out there at the end.
Yeah, I can't.
You know,
I don't like that dude. I hate the fact that we lost to Tyrese Halliburton.
I mean, it's just the way he's just not a sportsman guy to me. He's not a humble winner, man. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
So I hope they get spanked by OKC.
Me too.
You know.
Me too. I hope they get swept.
So, you know, I really hope they get spanked. But like I said, man, but this is like, to me, we're just wasting our opportunities. And it was killing me, man, watching Brunson struggle to get up the court. They playing him 94 feet. You know, he get over the timeline and take him too long. The defense is already set.
Yeah.
You know, it's taking him too long to get the ball to somebody. And then those people making mistakes when he actually get the ball to him because they don't have enough time. You know, and then Josh don't want to shoot, you know. I mean, he under the basket sometime and he's throwing the ball back out. I'm like,
Bridges too.
You know, and Bridges too, yeah, he did that, too. And then
scared of contact.
Towns seems like he has low basketball IQ. You know, very skilled, but the IQ is just like how many times he left his man on the 3-point line. And then look, one of the plays, he looked like, oh shoot, I need to get up.
Right.
He said, which way I'm gonna go? Which?
Yeah.
He did that a couple times.
And then you know, and then the Obi curse came back on us. You know, God, we could have kept on our team, but we couldn't figure out what to do with him or how to use him. He's draining threes on us, making defensive plays, but Tibbs couldn't figure out how to use him because I have Julius.
I mean, he did some of that for us too. I mean, he's playing the same.
But what I'm saying is the
minutes there. He's playing the same minutes there that he was.
But we could have had that on our team, man. The 3-pointers, the athleticism. He's blocking shots. We could have had some of that if Thibodeau was willing to utilize that. That's what I'm saying. That's a wasted draft pick. That's a number 8 pick.
I mean, he did utilize them. He was using them. I think.
Not really, man.
You don't
He
think
went
so?
so Julius. He went so Julius heavy. Every time Toppin to make a mistake, he pulled him out the game.
I mean,
He doesn't
Obi.
let
I don't
his
know.
guys learn.
I don't know what Obi was for this series as far as minutes, but for the season, he was playing basically the same amount of minutes.
And I don't think what Tibbs did was Obi. I don't think it had anything to do with Obi or Randall. I think it had to do with Tibbs and his philosophy. Like McBride went through that stage along with him. You know what I mean? Everybody goes through that with Tibbs along the way until you earn your stripes.
And
But then we end up losing a player basically for nothing who was
we
on low
did,
salary.
but he
I
wanted
mean,
out of New York.
That's right. He spazzed out. He wanted out.
Why did he want out of New York? Because we wasn't giving him no burn. And then look, like right now, he's in the play. He's going to play for a chip right now. Like you said, playing a similar role.
You don't think he learned? You don't think he learned? You don't think he learned his lesson to accept his role when he got moved? But if he's playing the same amount of minutes and he's not complaining about his minutes, what changed?
The difference is Carlisle has an equal opportunity offense. Tibbs don't. Tibbs got a 7-man deep, 9-man deep sometimes, even during a regular season. He really don't go to his bench very often. You know, he was forced to use his bench.
With the Knicks, Obi averaged 7 points per game. Right.
But it's not just the points, man. It's not so much the points. It's the impact more so than the points.
Right. I mean, but what you said, you said that he had, you saying that he's playing in the equal opportunity system. 22-23, he played with the Knicks. He averaged 6.4 shot attempts per game. 24-25, playing with the Pacers, he averaged 6.7 shot attempts per game. I mean,
right. But what I'm saying is, though, but he's utilized, is what I'm saying. He's utilized because Carlisle goes so deep in the bench. He utilized Bryant. He utilized the guy that got injured, Bradley. He utilized Jarris Walker.
I mean,
he's utilizing all these guys that we don't even know who these dudes are.
Right. I mean, but what I'm saying is he was utilized with the Knicks. He was playing like 12, 13 minutes a game. He's playing a few more minutes, 15 minutes per game or so.
And the shot attempts is the same.
I mean, I guess when you lay it out, possibly it is, but it don't feel like it, man. It feel like, Obi's imprint was not like he won the games for the Pacers and nothing like that, but
I think
it's like in crucial moments. You know what I'm saying?
I think it feels like that because we drafted him. Like the Pacers didn't draft him, right? They got him in a trade. We drafted him, and so now there's this. We drafted him with the 8th pick. Now there's this. We should be playing him this amount of minutes. We should give him a chance to do this, that, and this and that. So I think maybe it feels like that.
I expect,
man. It hurts.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
It hurts.
I expect to hear the same thing about Grimes in the offseason. And if Grimes was in the playoffs, we would have heard the same thing about Grimes. But to me,
when you think about it,
all that is credit to the player development that these guys had and the growth they got under Tibbs.
Right, but see, it's bearing fruit elsewhere. So it leads me to say, like, you got guys on the bench now, like Gaudier, Huck Porty. I know McCullough was injured, so you got those dudes. And Kolek, we don't really know what we got. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, because we really don't have any draft picks coming, we have to develop what we got.
Yeah,
we got to, because there's no where else we get. We don't have that much money to make deals with. And we really can't trade. We don't want to trade what we got, because we'll be playing backwards at this point, And then, like you guys are talking about, maybe getting Ben Simmons for facilitation. Yeah, that might work. But then he's like Josh Hart. He don't want to shoot either.
Yeah.
So that means we can't play certain lineups and stuff. So I wish we had a guy like Novak, like back in the day, man, like a serious scorer. A specialist that we can call in there and just get us some bucks.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say this before I let you go, Karan. Those guys, Kolek, Gaudier, them young guys. I think we should trust the process because all of our young guys that we drafted, have done well. You know what I'm saying? They may be on other teams now because we traded them for other pieces, but they've done well. You know what I'm saying?
The track record's there.
You know, so let's trust that these guys are going to be developed and brought in and have an impact, because we got at least three guys that I think could potentially have an impact with Kolick, Gaudier, and Huck Porty, and McCollum too. So
because he's like a Josh Hart.
But
what y'all think on the coach, man? I need to know y'all opinion. Do we run it back with Tibbs, or is it time to start looking for something
personally else? For me, I think we're still elevating and we haven't plateaued. I think when we plateau, then it's time to start looking at a change. But this is a team that is the core of this team is basically together for the first year. Bridges is new, Cat is new, Josh Hart and Brunson was here. OG came halfway through last year,
right? And then he was injured.
Injured. So I think you got to get this. I think you got to give this a chance to marinate.
Yeah, I just think earlier in the season he has to be a little bit more creative if he stays on as coach. He can't wait to the playoffs to start experimenting with stuff. He's got to do it sooner.
Yeah. Okay.
So guys will be ready.
But I think you got to give it a chance to marinate. You know what I'm saying? It's basically a first year team. When you add so many new pieces,
True.
And you made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think you got to give it a chance to marinate. Let Tibbs get to know the tendencies of guys like Bridges and Cat, know their tendencies.
Right.
Figure out. Let him see if he can figure out how to use those guys. Got us here. Let's see.
Well, we just got we got to get a facilitator. That much I know. Whatever money we got to get somebody to bring that ball up the court.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, we need a facilitator.
Take Brunson off ball.
No doubt. I think that's huge for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
I appreciate
you, bro. Peace.
All right, man. Take it.
Oh, I cut him off a little bit too soon. Sorry about that, Karan. Anyway, Tony, I think I'm done wallowing in my sorrows for the night.
Sure.
Chill. Whatnot.
I ain't even thinking about it because I know I'm going to hear from everybody at work and everybody else for the next couple of days. So
yeah,
I'm going to sleep good tonight. It was a good season.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? For all in all, it was a good season. We made a heck of a run in the playoffs. You know what I mean? We made a heck of a run. You know what I mean? And so now we got to see, can we do better next year? Heck of a run. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Take it easy on yourself, man. Take it easy on Tibbs and the Knicks. It was a good season. You know what I'm saying? Everything was fun while it lasted. Now we got to get back to it next year. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but let me see. Did I get any more super chats? No. All right, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Peace.
This is NBK. Nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.